Welcome to Easy Eats. My name is Chef Yves Dechaine, and I'm here in the Greener Villages Learning Kitchen with Matthew Gudger. Matthew is owner of Jomo Acres. Matthew, tell us a little bit about what Jomo Acres is.
Jomo Acres is a 200-acre nature retreat. Camp, throw, hike is our motto, so we're trying to get to our camping stuff. The throw part is disc golf, so we can talk a bit about disc golf later. And hiking, we've got about 4 kilometers of trails already, and I got an old Skidoo, and we try and keep those open all year round, and not cross-country ski friendly, maybe not specific, but friendly.
Oh, that's really cool. I know that we've met doing this. You approached us as a charitable event for your disc golf, for example, the Ice Bowl. So
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that. How did that come about, and why did you choose us as a charity?
Sure. Well, there's a Seeley family up in Durham, and they ran an ice bowl for 9 or 10 years, and it was one of the biggest ones in Canada. And I went to the last one they ran, and when I asked them the next year, they're like, "Oh, we can't. It's been 10 years. We did our, and I was like, it's great." So I reached out to the Ice Bowl and found out how to run one. Figured out we needed to partner with a charity. Heard the Greener Village through, whatever, social media and all that sort of stuff, and reached out to the probably info at Greener Village probably the first time, and now it's like like coming home again to the family every year. It's Yves coming out to cook chili for the Ice Bowl, and
no, it's a lot of fun, and we've been doing this. I've been doing this for about 6 years, but you said about 7 that we've worked together, which is fantastic. And again, we're talking about Ice Bowl, so let's tell people what the Ice Bowl is exactly.
It's disc golf in the wintertime. For us, it's all about raising money for a charity. In this case, it's the Greener Village. So last year we raised over $1,700,
Wow.
and we got 400 pounds of food that we brought in, and that was our biggest year yet. Every year gets a little bit bigger. We want to add sponsorships on like whole signs with sponsorship this year to try and increase our charitable donations and all that sort of stuff. And it's just an opportunity to come out in the wintertime and be outside, and I don't know, I love being outside, so I just want to bring other people outside. And
Perfect. Well, that led me to my next question is, did you go to school for this? Is this something that you said, well, I'm going to go to, say, Sir Hugh John Fleming up the hill, take forestry, learn about the ecosystem and eco education, or is this kind of you following your passion?
It's kind of a lot of things in my professional career that's all fit together. I'm a certified professional turfgrass manager from Rutgers University in New Jersey. So tree ID, planting grass, mowing grass, all that planning and stuff. I now map the ocean, so I do a lot of GIS work, so I'm able to make maps and hole signs and all that sort of stuff. So it's been really interesting how all these skills that I've kind of picked up along the way are being helpful and kind of getting to this ultimate goal.
Is this a one-man show, Matthew, or who's all involved in this? Do you have employees or?
No employees yet. Right now it's a family affair. You actually did the food handling safety course with my wife a few years ago.
Okay.
So she's going to have in base camp, which is going to be our, the spot you go to start your adventure at Jomo. And she took that course from you, so we have that connection. The kids, a year ago we had to identify one of our property lines, and we put survey vests on the kids and packed them full of snacks, and off we go to try and find the survey line for the day, and we come back. It's probably 2 days later, and there was a really bad smell in the back of the house, and the kids had been stuffing their pockets full of mushrooms as we went through the woods, and now all these decaying mushrooms. And
So I see your spot's called Jomo. Is Jomo named after the kids?
No, it's actually the joy of missing out, because there's really no cell service, and we kind of want it to be you're away from everything. We have a spot where we have a cell phone service in the building, but the rest of the property is kind of really spotty, and we kind of like it that way, to kind of unplug and get away from it all and just enjoy the birds or the mushrooms or whatever you're there to see. So.
Well, that's perfect. So yeah, you guys are that eco-tourist trap. You want to unplug, recharge, like you were saying, which is something that we're needing more and more nowadays. Do you offer any kind of courses? You said that a lot of hats, you wear a lot of hats there. Yeah. So you guys do curated nature hikes. So you were talking about mushrooms with the kids. Are you out there showing people how to harvest mushrooms, how to hunt mushrooms, different herbs and stuff like that?
We're working with some people who are mushroom experts to come out and try and do some hikes. We're trying to get something lined up like a first go this weekend.
Okay.
And that's something that we want to develop further on down the river. I can't be an expert on everything. I've got a friend who's my personal YouTube channel. When I say, hey, I got to install insulation, he comes over and he gets me the first piece, and then I do the work, and then all right, I have to do this to the building next. Can you come over? And, we have disc golfers that are electricians and disc golfers that are contractors. A couple people put the roof on for me, and
so it sounds like a really good community effort. So the disc golf community is really supporting you guys to get another course out there, because I know that there aren't very many courses here in Fredericton. I think you're one of 3?
Well, there's Mactaquac now has a course. Odell and Deer Park and Oromocto just opened up recently. They have Saturday. They're going to have Sunday. They're going to have their grand opening.
And you guys are where again?
We're out in Ripples.
Okay.
On your way to Minto. Most people didn't. I didn't know what Ripples was until we started looking for a property that would suit the idea that we had. And the Ripples community has been great to us.
No, that's awesome. And like you said, it's a little bit out of the way. So if you want to unplug and recharge mentally and physically, then you sound like a great place to be.
Yeah, if you take the 105, you get that nice river drive.
Yep.
When you're going back in the evening, you get the sunset kind of come down over the river. It's a really, really beautiful drive.
That's my drive into work every morning. So
you're the
I totally understand. Yeah.
You get the wrong sun though.
I do get the wrong sun. Yeah.
We're like a half an hour outside of city limits, so it feels like you've gone somewhere, like you're kind of not in the city anymore. And it's just kind of, when you're trying to do a nature retreat, you want to separate yourself from the city. So it's kind of a nice distance to separate yourself.
And you are a nice distance because, again, you don't want to travel 4 or 5 hours to get to that nature retreat, but 45 minutes sounds like a great time. Awesome. So what I'd like to do today with you guys is just show everyone how to make the chili that I serve in February during that ice bowl. Yeah. My chili, just like your ice bowl, is not for wimps and whiners. There's a little bit of kick. There's a little bit of heat to it, but you can adjust it any way you want. Welcome back to Easy Eats. I'm here again with Matthew Gudger from Jomo Acres, and we're going to be making the chili that I usually serve up February for our ice bowl. So it's really simple, it's easy, and I mean, Matthew, it's great to bring out to camp if you want to go out hiking, because it's pretty much everything's in a can or dried spices. We're using some fresh vegetables today, but you honestly don't have to, man. You could use garlic powder, onion powder, and it would make something similar. But we're at the Greener Village. We have gardens. I have onions and peppers and some hot peppers that we grow here, so we may as well use the bounty of our space to make all of this. So it's really easy. We're just going to start off with a little bit of olive oil, and then I'm going to grab 1 onion that we dice, and then I'm going to add our garlic to that, and I'm just going to saute this just for a couple minutes, just to start releasing the flavor. You want to and bring out the aromatics of your garlic, but you got to make sure that you're not going to burn it. So you just kind of swish it back and forth here, right like that. And there we go. And so we do a disc golf fundraiser. So tell me a little bit more about disc golf.
So we're throwing frisbees, which we call discs because Whammo said we own the word frisbee. Okay. So we have to call it disc golf, which is hard to pronounce.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a plumage of chains with a basket underneath of it, and that's meant to interrupt the flight of the disc as it travels through the air.
Okay.
And you can make it turn left and right, and the golf part is really the scoring. We've got pars and bogeys and double bogeys and, scrambles. If you're really into golf, you'll know what scramble is and all that sort of stuff. So we use all the same terminology that ball golf does, except we're playing in tighter fairways, We're not, irrigating. We're not pesticides. We're not. It's just really a walk in the woods.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
And do you need any special equipment, or can you just go to the dollar store, grab a frisbee that you got from a promotional thing, or is there special discs?
There's definitely special discs. We're a little bit smaller, and it kind of condenses the weight. The smaller kind of fits into the basket better. You'll find if you go out to the dollar store, and you can do that. You can go to the dollar store and get one, but they just don't. It's not the same. They don't fly the same, and yeah.
Do you rent them at Jomo?
We do, yeah. We've got rental bags with 3 discs in them, and minimal fee on everything out there. But
perfect. So our onions have gotten a little bit of color. They've softened and they've sweat a little bit. At this time now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my spices. So what you want to do with chili is you want to bring out, and you kind of want to bring the earthiness out and kind of roast your spices in with the garlic. It's kind of building flavors, and that's what it is with chili. You don't just open up everything, throw it in the pot, and hope for the best. It'll work, it'll taste good, but if you want an amazing chili, you want to build your flavors up. So I'm going to add our house cayenne. So I picked some chili peppers from the garden a year ago, and then I dried them. I smoked them, I dried them, then I ground them up into the chili pepper you see here. We're going to use a little bit of cumin, about a teaspoon of that as well. Some chili powder, because it is chili.
yeah,
We'll put that in, a couple teaspoons there. And then I always put in some cocoa powder. Cocoa powder adds a nice depth, makes it rich, and it gives it that special word, the umami, one of the 5 senses. So it's kind of a mouthfeel. And then I'm just going to roast that. And you're going to see it's going to get deep, and you're going to get that full note. So now it smells like chili, even though we only have onions and spices in there, right?
the cocoa powder seems like way out of left field for me. Like, what's that doing?
Well, cocoa powder, I mean, we do make that hot chocolate at Jomo for the event, and I put cayenne pepper. I put my pepper spice in there as well. So chocolate and spice are synonymous. They're a good pairing.
Okay.
And the cocoa really, it does. It just kind of adds a roundness to it. It adds a depth.
Okay.
It's kind of like adding cinnamon to certain things. So yeah, something that's sweet doesn't always have to have a sweet application. It can definitely have a savory, and a lot of Mexican foods like a mole. A Mexican is a chocolate sauce that goes onto chicken, right?
Right.
So why not in this? Chili is kind of a Southwestern inspired dish, so chocolate kind of fits into it historically and flavor profilely as well, I guess.
Okay.
So this time right now, I'm going to add my vegetables. So if you're not adding vegetables now, now would be the time to add your beans and stuff like that. But again, we're adding our veggies, and we're just going to give those a quick saute and let all those flavors build into it as well.
Smells great.
And then at this point here too, what I would do is I would add my ground beef to it and start frying it up, or if you're going to introduce any meat. I say ground beef, but it could be anything. It's a great way to reuse leftovers as well. Chili is a great, like soup. If you've got roast chicken that's in the fridge from the meal before, you can pop that in. If you had pork chops, you dice it up real fine. And just toss it in, and it's whatever you have on hand. But this nice vegetarian chili works great. It kind of fits in with the theme that you guys are kind of pushing out at Jomo, kind of an ethically, kind of eco, give back to, and
yeah, we've got the apple trees that we planted.
well, that's right. Your orchard.
And we want to create a value-added product from that once we start producing apples. You know, whether it's homemade fruit leathers or like with no sugar, and Jen's very conscious of, health and all that sort of stuff, and she can't have lactose and she can't eat meat, so we get a lot of,
Well, that's it. So I guess personal dietary issues have driven you guys to kind of explore alternatives, which is fantastic, and I think a lot of people that's what drives them to seek out their passions and stuff like that. That's awesome. All right, so we've got this color. It may look burnt, but that's because of the cocoa. It has nothing to do. We would know it. We would smell it right here. So Matt, all we're going to do is we're going to add our beans to it. So if you want to add those beans.
So what do you have for beans today?
Beans. I've got black beans. I've got kidney beans, which are definitely synonymous with chili. And I put chickpeas in there. Chickpeas are nice. They're robust. They're plump, and I like them. And I always like to add a variety of beans. When I make a bean chili, it's not just one bean. I try to mix it up, and it adds a variety. You can
gives you a different texture, different mouthfeel, and
absolutely. And I mean, you can buy cans of variety, like a 6-bean variety chili beans, and then it works out great. And they're a great source of protein. So even though we're not putting any meat in here, you're still getting a big protein punch from your beans. You can use canned beans if you're in a hurry, but I always like to suggest use your dried beans and really get them soaked, because there's a lot more protein, a lot more nutrients in a dried bean than you would in a canned bean.
And the fava is the water that you boil them down with, and that has a lot of good nutrients that you can use for other things too?
You can use for other things, and that's why I always say use the fresher bean, because what happens is when it's in a can, all of that nutrients kind of leaks out into the aquafaba or the bean water.
Yeah.
But then we're not using the bean water for this, because the bean water would give this a muddy taste, and we don't want a muddy taste. So we're kind of pulling the nutrients. And if you're doing it yourself, you're not extracting as much as if it would sit for who knows how long that can of beans has been sitting around.
Sure.
Even though it's sealed, it's still pulling something out. So you kind of want to go from there.
Yeah.
So this looks really, really good. Now I'm going to add a can of corn. I mean, we get a lot of corn. You can use canned corn because we have it. Frozen corn works really great. Here at the Greener Village, we always get, especially this time of year, we get corn on the cob that's donated all the time. So you can use that as well. Whatever you have on hand. And if you don't like corn, you don't have to add it.
Yeah.
But I do. It always goes well with the black beans that I put in here.
Where do you sit on barley in a veggie, especially in a veggie chili?
So that kind of mimics. If you're looking for a mimic,
Yeah.
barley works well, because then it gives you that texture of ground beef, which kind of, but I'm on the fence with that. If you're going to go vegan or vegetarian, I always try not to replicate what it might taste like. I just try to highlight and feature the vegetables in the dish. So here we go. We're going to add a can of diced tomatoes. You can use whole tomatoes if you want. I find diced tomatoes are easier, because then I don't have to go in with a knife or a masher afterwards to kind of.
These ones don't look like the ones I usually use at home. These ones have like black. Looks like they've been.
Oh, black chard. Well, that's just because, again, we're at the Greener Village, and I grab whatever we have on the shelves to use, and these are fire roasted. So you can buy your canned tomatoes, or you can make your canned tomatoes fire roasted. You can roast them and then can them and work with them that way as well. So.
And that's like another flavor layer that you're adding to the chili with the fire roasted.
Exactly. You're just kind of building. Sadly, it's going to mimic what we do at Jomo, because I cook everything on a wood stove there, which is also fantastic, and why I love hanging. I mean, I love the fact that you guys are bringing it in, but I mean, honestly, you're letting me cook on a wood stove. Why would I say no to coming out and hanging out?
We may have missed the best part in only making the chili, because it's the taco in the bag that is the real end product that we're doing at
Absolutely,
the
but
Ice Bowl.
We're not doing that today, because I want everyone to come out to the Ice Bowl and try that. So if you want to see the taco in the bag, you got to come and hang out and support Jomo, support the Greener Village.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got that in there, and it's fairly thick. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add some tomato sauce. I'm adding tomato sauce. You can add vegetable stock if you wanted to. If you didn't have any vegetable stock, you could add water. But what we're doing is, again, we're building more flavor. So, and this one's a nice thick tomato sauce. There we go. We'll just add that to the mess. And then we're pretty much done. We're just going to let this simmer for about minimum half hour. This can go on low all day if you wanted to. The depth of flavors are going to increase, and you're just going to get always like a soup. It's always better the day after.
Yeah.
Right?
We do an egg drop soup for Christmas Eve, and it's always the next day. It's got all the flavors, because we start out with a hot pot, like an Asian hot pot, and then you get all the flavors from the hot pot and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, it just gets better with time.
Welcome back to Easy Eats. I'm Chef Yves, and again, we're in the Learning Kitchen with Matthew Gudger, owner or co-owner of Jomo Acres, a beautiful eco retreat or sanctuary, I guess we can call it that. I know that it's a family affair. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you get the kids involved. Your wife Jen is involved.
Yeah, it's total family all the time. They're homeschooled. I work from home, so we see a lot of each other.
Right on. So you guys are kind of like the modern homesteaders, I guess, if you want to use a kind of a term that way. You guys are kind of returning to the earth and kind of making sure that everybody's kind of getting to know that relationship. I know that when I was a kid, that was something that was really important for my grandparents and my father to know that, what you bring into the bush, you bring out. Everything you need should be there if you're smart about it. Things like that. And that's something I really admire about you and Jen, that you guys are showing the kids how to do this and that you're offering this service to other people. And I mean, so close to town as well, which is great because it is just a short hop away to be in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. No, Jen's got she had great corn in the garden this year and tomatoes, and the kids are in there and they're doing the work. They're in there and then they're pulling the carrots out and washing them off the hose and eating them right out of the garden. It's all the memories that
we had as kids, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
So, what was the first thing you ever cooked?
I have so many memories that they meld together. I used to cook. I can't say exactly what it was. It was probably cookies, but all the memories are of hanging out with my grandmothers, both of them. I would ask them, how do you do this? Why do you do that? And they're like, well, I don't know. Whatever I have in my cupboard, whatever works. So I decided long ago to just kind of hang out and watch. And I would hang out and watch and ask questions. And if I got too annoying, I would be chased outside. But I was always welcomed in. And it was a great way to always have cookies to try. It was always a great way to taste everything first. My siblings always said I was the favorite, but it wasn't that I was the favorite. I was the one that was paying attention and learning from grandma and ma mère. And it was fun. So that's, again, I guess it's what brought me to do this by happenstance. It wasn't my first line for her career, but I'm happy I fell into this.
Yeah. Oh, it's worked out great for you. I remember all those, memories of that. My mom would have a special tin that, the first whatever cookie or whatever went on the little pie sheet, and then it came out for me. And, just because you were there in the kitchen, because, you were giving them that time, they gave it back to you.
And you're doing that for your kids, and I really admire that, Matthew. That's awesome. So our chili isn't quite ready, but you can see that it's nice, it's full, it's hearty. And like I said, we serve this on tortilla chips. You could have it just like this, and then we serve this with hot chocolate in February. So, Matthew, when in February are we planning to have this year?
February 11th.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll try and get the registration and all that. We registered 2 years ago. COVID was here. We maxed out at 50 people. We couldn't have more than that. Last year, the course holds 4 players per tee, 72. I think this year we might go to tee times to try and expand a little bit more. And, like I said, we've got other businesses in the community that are interested in helping out and giving a few dollars here and there, and that's all adds up. We didn't get to $1,700. If it wasn't for the generosity of the disc golf community, it's just me standing out in the field,
No, absolutely, and I mean, and it has grown from the first year I started with, like I said, with a crock pot outside Odell Lodge to last year being in a lovely cabin with some wood stove, and I'm serving out a takeout window. So hopefully next year I'll be able to be outside with all of you guys, serving that chili out on top and all that fun stuff. Do you take volunteers to come and help you do that too?
Oh, anybody wants to come out and volunteer. I've got a job to match your skill. My to-do list is super long.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining me, and I'm sure we'll see you before February, but if not, we'll be there handing out chili and walking nachos in support of the Greener Village.
Perfect.
Awesome.